Dozens of protesters arrested by Seattle police may never have to face a judge or go back to jail.
For the past couple weeks, a frenzy has gripped the streets as protesters repeatedly clashed with Seattle police. Arrests for the most serious offenses went to county prosecutors. Lesser crimes are being reviewed by City Attorney Pete Holmes, who doesn't think jail time is the best track to pursue.
If we can help shine a light on what true restorative justice looks like, that's where these cases should go.
Holmes has received 37 misdemeanor cases so far. Most are for obstructing police, but the list includes half a dozen assaults, theft, reckless endangerment, and attempted property damage. Holmes hopes to refer these protesters to Choose 180, a restorative justice program with a proven track record.
Who in their right mind would not want to go with a program that is showing that 90+% of the participants do not commit another crime?
Given the impacts to local businesses, some civic activists are at a loss.
People do need to be able to exercise their rights. But when we start to infringe and assault other people, and there's theft and burglary and destruction of property, that to me now has crossed the line.
Holmes says they'll look at the merits of each case and consider the victims before making any decisions.
If we can emerge from this better, stronger, and safer, who wouldn't want that outcome?
At Seattle's CHOP, where thousands of people continue to stream in and see it for themselves, these barriers are now dividing not just the roads, but protesters here too.
I can tell you that not everyone is in agreement with their placement.
Maurice Cola says he's been here since the start and tells me some of the core organizers had no idea they'd be installed, calling out both outsiders and the city.
If the state is getting so comfortable with our protest that they're willing to come in and help us, then that means we're obviously not sending the right message.
While there's been no shortage of criticism put on the city and the mayor about what's happened here, Cola is adding to it, saying these barriers mean money that could have been spent elsewhere.
If they're willing to spend that kind of money in order to put parameters up to keep our protests going, why aren't they willing to fund what we're asking for?
And protesters say it is highly likely those barriers will be moved at some point, but would not elaborate as to how, when, or where. And it once again brings into question the lack of leadership. But Cola says talks are happening to form a more collective voice.
It's evolving and it's progressing. We are centralizing in a degree.
Waiting in traffic is becoming a way of life to get in and out of West Seattle.
Once we go back to phase 2 or 3, it's going to be worse.
West Marginal Way and Highland Parkway, usually much quieter thoroughfares, have been blasted by traffic since the West Seattle Bridge closed. And we're only in phase 1.5. West Marginal Way has seen a 154% increase in traffic. Highland Parkway, a 108% increase.
We're going to open up pretty soon, and most people work in downtown Seattle, and it's going to be a frustrating nightmare.
Here's a look at how people got in and out of West Seattle in 2019, according to the city. 82% of people used cars. 17% of people used buses. 1% used the water taxi, and an additional 1% used bikes.
If we keep that same mode split going into 2021 or right now, 53% of those trips are going to have to find another way.
The city says it's a problem that needs to be solved collectively and individually to come up with a solution to make sure all West Seattle residents can get to and from the peninsula.
Whatever we end up with, it's going to require change.
And back out here live tonight, those of us who live here in West Seattle, we're experiencing this firsthand, and it just seems like as we get through these phases that traffic seems to increase. I'm told that next week the group's going to be taking up low bridge policies. It sounds like things could be slightly changing. We're going to have to wait till next week to find out.